Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Introduce our main speaker, Chuck S. Chuck? Good evening. My name is Chuck. I'm an alcoholic. This is not one of my favorite pastimes. I don't like doing this, and I never have. But over the years go by, you've been taught in Alcohol Anonymous, do what's been asked of you. Never say no. And a lot of times I like to say no. But anyway, leave it to our friends who become secretaries and people do we know in the program that get you the commitments to speak. And especially when you got a little time, you really like to speak or not, they get you in there to speak. Anyway, that's the way this happened too. It was a little dinner function at a birthday party, and one of my dearest friends, her boyfriend happened to be secretary at this meeting, which I knew, and then he casually asked me as we were talking about various different things. He said, "Oh, by the way, how would you like to speak at the Saturday night meeting in Santa Monica?" What could I say? But I would say, "Well, I'll see what I'm doing." I was trying to think how busy I was and what date it would be. So anyway, here I am. I don't mind being here anyway, even though I don't like it. I had a wonderful evening tonight. I've been having dinner with a few friends, which I enjoy being with, and then come in the rooms and see more friends that I don't see on a regular basis, and seeing the smiley faces, the ones who really know me, the real me. So I can't get in here lying and telling you the bullshit. I was good at that. Anyway, I was one of those worn-out drunks that, like we all were, we hit our bottom in our own little way, but I was a mess. It's hard to remember back when it really started and how I started, but I know that as growing up, I always felt a little different than anybody else. And I was shy and backward, just reversed today. You never think I was a shy little kid growing up and never learned to speak to anybody and just back off in the corner and be by myself. But today, just somehow, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. But as time went on, as a kid, growing up, I went in the service, and in the service you learn to drink with the guys. And I was one of the guys who did not drink with the guys for a while. Until later on, I was introduced to the women. And I met a woman over in Japan that started drinking that sake. And I started having a little bit of that sake, and I was buzzing. And I was on a little road where I kind of liked that buzz. And I kind of looked forward to the next one. And by doing so, I continued drinking a little bit, but I was addicted to any of it. And it didn't last long. Any of the drink, it didn't last long. But as years went on by, continued the drinking, not knowing what's really happening, that I required it more and more all the time and didn't know why. And then a few years went by where I didn't have to touch the stuff. But all I know is that I became addicted to alcohol, and I had a business I was doing so well, and with that business was doing so well, I didn't realize that I was so wrapped up in alcohol because I was so screwed up in a relationship, and that relationship went into disaster, and I hid into the bottle. I couldn't talk about it, and before the bottle became my friend, and it stayed my friend until I got an Alcohol Anonymous. And I couldn't surrender to Alcohol Anonymous even. I heard about it, and all I could think about was Alcohol Anonymous being people from Skid Row, not thinking about all the various different types of people, of their ways of life, how they come in, but they weren't like me. I was different. And I found out how different I really was. I wasn't any different than anybody. I was full of shit, that's all. I didn't want to admit it, and I wasn't going to admit it. So one day, accidentally was with a friend. We happened to walk into Alcohol Anonymous well, it was her idea, and she's here tonight. She'd been to a few meetings before on her own, but this time I went with her, and it happened to be a meeting that was a very small meeting. And didn't get too much out of it, and I didn't give a shit. They had more problems than I had. So later on, we went, still doing my thing and not worrying about it, still functioning and having a good time. Then I decided we'd try it one more time. And we did. We went a couple blocks from the house, and it used to be Wilshire Normandy meeting. It was a big, giant meeting. And all I can remember, this one guy, secretary at the meeting, he was shaking hands at the door, and he says, "Walk in and shut up." And sat down. I walked in down front and sat down and shut up. And that's all I needed to hear. This was nothing for me. So we stuck around for that meeting the picking night, and I just couldn't identify with anybody in that room. Even the speaker that night, all I knew that they looked like a bunch of sick people. And I realized I was just as sick as they were. And I didn't go for, I don't know how many years I didn't go. Yeah. I just continued doing my thing to the worst that it got. It continued getting worse and worse and worse. And I couldn't see it and didn't want to see it. And I started taking geographics. My business was going to hell. It was going down the drain. And who gives a shit anyhow? I had money, property and prestige and all that shit. I was losing it all. But, and you sell one truck, you sell two trucks, you sell three trucks until you have no more left to sell. But then I found it, taking on various different jobs, I had still customers that had enough to make money to pay my expenses, this and that. And finally one day, I had to have the drinks in the morning where I had to get started. When I wake up awake with the shakes, I had to have that one drink or two drinks to get started through that day. But no one else knew this, except one particular friend at the time. But prior to her, she didn't know I'd have it in the morning even. I get on the jobs, in the various different jobs I was on. One of the guys working with me who stopped at the liquor store and buy a half pint just to get me started. Once I got started, I was fine. Then getting on the job, and I needed more. A lot of my clients had their own booze and had their own bars, so I helped myself to their own bars when they wasn't looking. And when I knew the bottle was too far down, I watered it down and make it like a still full bottle. And got away with it for a long time, until I was able to replace the bottle the next time I went. And this went on and on and on, till one day that I was sick and tired, and I was too scared to do anything about it. I didn't want to do anything about it. And I got drinking a few drinks too much one day, and I thought I wanted to go call Alcohol Anonymous. Knowing how you drink, and you think on the spur of the moment, you think you're going to call, you want to call. And all of a sudden, I was with this friend who knew how bad it was for me, and so she made the call. I'm not sure if I made the call, she made the call, whatever. We made the call. Anyway, the time the guy came from central office to the house, and I had already been drinking much more than I had when I made the call. And I had changed my mind when he got there. I wasn't about to go. But what she said, she leave it to women, get their way. She said, "Listen, you asshole, you get in there and get in the shower." And I never forget it. You get in there and get in the shower. He didn't come all the way for nothing to take you to a goddamn meeting. You're going to go whether you like it or not. And I could have killed her. And I don't know why I went, because I was still loaded. I could have said no, but I didn't. I went. And I'll never forget it. I was hyper, which I'm hyper anyhow. And when I get wired up, I cough or whatever, I get wired up all the more. A lot of times I rattle on, and a lot of times you can't understand me. I have learned to slow down in sobriety over and over. A lot of people don't know me when I really came in. But I'll get to that. This guy took me to this meeting, I'll never forget, Monday night in Ohio. And the meeting already was going on. And people were sitting and listening and shutting up. And I was the only one talking, walking in that meeting. This guy took me in, and everybody's trying to listen to the speaker, and everybody's trying to be quiet. And so I walk in, and he says, "Shh, shh." And I still would rattle off, you know. I was on Venice, and I already had a few drinks. So naturally you can't stop when you're on Venice. So take him in the goddamn kitchen, shut him up. And so they took me in the kitchen, and I still was talking away. So take him outside. So this guy Neil, I never forget, he said, "There's a guy in this meeting I want you to meet. He's in the same business as you are. And by doing so, you get something in common. He's been sober. You haven't." And so during the coffee break, they introduced me to him, and I already knew the guy. he said he couldn't believe his eyes. He put his arm around me and he says, welcome. We saved the seat right over here for you. He said, I didn't think you were ever going to make it. You're here tonight. That's all that counts. And he says, come on, sit with me. He said, the room was so filled that night, and there wasn't room for me to sit down. He pushed me over anyhow and got me in there sitting down. I don't know how I did it. I was ready to get up and leave anyhow, but I didn't have a way home. I didn't know where I was at even. So we sat down and talked after the meeting was over. And Neil, the guy who took me there, he turned me over to Joe that particular night, and Joe took me upon his wings that first few days and became a chauffeur to me the various different meetings. Had my own private chauffeur. And by doing so, after 2 weeks, I was on my own. He says, limousine service is over. Now you're on your own. You know where the meetings are? You're going to get to them the best way you know how. You know how to get there. You got a car, whatever. And I resented that, the idea, and he turned me loose. And I wasn't getting acquainted with any of the guys, any of the people in here, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to get to know any of you. I couldn't be bothered with you, but all I knew is you people were staying sober, and whatever was happening, something's happening, something must be working. And somehow I was staying sober a few days and continued to stay a few days. Then as the time went on, he said, you're going to get a sponsor, but you can't get the same sponsor I got. He says that he knows me too well, he knows you too well. I said, the guy doesn't even know me, how can he? He said, through me he would. So I got a sponsor, and I didn't know anything about sponsorships. And I didn't care, but all I knew that I needed to get somebody, like I said, in order to be part of. And I was too new to even think about it, but so I did what everybody else was doing and got a sponsor. So I got one who was good with slippers. And it was he good with slippers because he was a chronic slipper himself. And it was Clancy I. And I didn't know nothing about the man. I didn't care about it. All I knew, I did it anyhow. And I started taking some suggestions and doing some of the things he suggested. And by doing so, somehow I was staying sober. And didn't know what was going on in these meetings. All I knew, just showed up, sat down, and shut up. And that was hard for me to do. By doing so, he got me very much involved in Alcoholics Anonymous in the early stage, helping others. And helping others, I couldn't understand, how is it helping me? It has nothing to do with me staying sober. But believe it or not, it did. Very much so. Giving guys the rides to meetings. Just like one of the guys who's here tonight, I haven't seen him so many years, who give me rides to my first week of sobriety, and if not longer, and many of us. And he's still around today, and it's good to see him. And knowing that how he reminded me tonight, the other people who rode in that car with us, how sick we all were, and yet he had more sobriety than any of us, but he was sick too. And we didn't want to tell him because we got a ride. Now it's okay. But so time went on. Before you knew it, the time did go on, and I did got not just involved in Alcoholics Anonymous, and Clancy not only his help and his guidance helped me stay sober, but the friends in that first year of sobriety. I made that first year, and there was a big party for me. He put on for me, and my mother flew in from the east to give me a cake, and by doing so, she didn't understand the program either. She didn't give a shit. The only thing she knew, it worked. Whatever done for me, it worked for me. She didn't care how it worked. It was working. So whatever this guy was doing to help you, just listen to him. So I continued to listen, and time went on. I got into sharing 3 to 5 minutes like we all asked to do, but when I got shared 3 to 5 minutes, you couldn't understand a word I was saying. Because when I first came in, I was a sick turkey. Boy, was I sick. Not just because I sit down like everybody else in here tonight. I was really sick. I used to get up here and stutter and slur my words, and but there's people out there that used to know me like that, and I have slowed down where I can be able. Today, people can understand and hear me what I'm saying. Sometimes I get caught up in my own shit and get excited and I rattle off a little more faster than I normally do. But they remind me how I used to really rattle off when they saying that when they see me up there, they knew. They had their own little joke and clown about, but something that it was being friendly about. But so anyway, time went on. I got into sharing. And got to being a sponsor and helping others more and more. I got very much active in Alcoholics Anonymous. 2 years goes by, 3 years goes by. And you say, not get involved. And by heavens, I got involved a little bit in the first year, but not much. I did it behind my sponsor's back, and it's over and over, and I've seen somebody, and they still find out. You don't have to know, you don't have to tell them. They find out. And somehow that As time went on, I got into a sick relationship after, I don't know, my fourth year sobriety, and it was sick, like most of them were, with the functioning alcoholic. And I was setting myself up, not knowing I was setting myself up. And my sponsor could see it, and I refused to see it. I wasn't going to listen, and I didn't listen. I did it my way, and I had my 5th year, and I had a big party for the 5th year. I had people come from all over, and my sponsor was telling me, Chuck, all the people from all over are coming to your party. And he says, you claim you have no goddamn friends. Why don't you get the hell down there and just shut your mouth? He said, just let the people that love you, care you. Why would they drive all this distance just to be with you? And it went on. And after that party, I got more involved in that relationship. And by doing so, I allowed myself to be set up for a big drunk. And I didn't know it. A couple of days before my 6th year birthday, I was having problems. And I started slacking off a little bit in my meetings, but not that much. But I was still active, doing the various different things with Alcohol Anonymous and commitments. But my commitments outside Alcohol Anonymous with you people, only with coming here, and then after I leave here, I wouldn't have nothing to do with you. I would tune into the relationship. And the relationship was where they was able to manipulate me, and I was able to do the things they wanted me to do, and I did it. And by doing so, I went to a party that particular night, and I was feeling shitty, down and out, and I'll never forget it. A guy at the party at Malibu, he said, Chuck, you have a little coke. And I said, no, I haven't had cocaine in a long time, and I've been off the ship for a long time. He said, well, do you want some later? Just still be here. So I went about my business, not thinking anything of it, continued with the party, and then everybody seemed to be drinking, getting high, and the 3 of us weren't. And by doing so, about an hour into that party, I remembered that I went back in that kitchen. This guy Roy, I never forget it either. Oh, he said, Chuck, you sure you don't want him? And slip of the tongue, who didn't give a shit. Why not? One knows. After you did it, you know you already done it, so why not the other one? So off and running you go. There I'm buzzing already. So then there comes the rum and coke. Then I'm starting buzzing, and before you know it, I'm into other scenes, which encountered. And before you know it, we ended up leaving that party, went back to my place in Sherman Oaks, and I started to isolate and start drinking more. And other people around me start to know something was wrong, especially various different friends. You couldn't lie to them, but they could see right through your lies, who know you so well. And by doing so, I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody. I was too remorse and felt full of guilt, knowing that I hated myself. I couldn't stand it. And by doing so, a dear friend, still today, lives in Orange County, had a set of keys to my place in the valley. And by doing so, Louise here tonight, she had called him, told him, by God, by God, get your ass in here, open the door and it's getting back on the right track. And by doing so, he came up anyhow. And when he came in, he didn't want to come in because he thought he'd find me dead. Like a few months prior to that, he'd walked into one of the guys he sponsored and found him dead on the bed. And he didn't want to see that with me. And by doing so, they opened the door and there I was. A total mess, watching TV, bottles lying everywhere, and drinking, spaced out to a certain degree, not really drunk, but high, and unshaved, unbathed. It smelled like in a jumpsuit, looked like hell, and here me facing friends I didn't care to see. He came in with my key, invaded my privacy, and not knowing it was the best thing ever happened. I didn't want to see it, but it happened. And they came in, they looked at me, disgusted, irritated. How could I, Well, I did. That's all. But anyway, it was over. I did it, and so they felt sorry for me at the same time. I don't know what they was thinking, but all I know they was there. Now, how do I get rid of them? I don't think I even thought that. I don't know. But all I know is that I was too scared to come down and get off the shit. I was not frightened to come back and fishing you people. I was more scared coming off the shit. And by doing so, they was going to take me to the hospital. My insurance had lapsed. But I remember I called the Clare Foundation during that period. And Clare Foundation had a bed available for me, but I didn't show up. So I knew the paper was around, but I didn't want my nightstand. So Louise started looking for it. And by doing so, she found it. So she called Claire, and she talked to him. and they said they had, they could bring me in right then and there. They would take me, and by doing so, they took me in. But meanwhile, when we're going out there, she knew I was going to convulsions. I didn't have about the shake, so I had all kinds of bottles left in there. So she gave me the bottle, and we drink all along the way in the car, all the way to Santa Monica. So I wouldn't go into DTs. And by doing so, I had enough in me to settle my shakes. And halfway there, we poured the bottle out, and down the sort of, they got me there, and they started filling papers and signing me in, just and that. And by doing so, they stuck around long enough, put me there, and then all of a sudden, got me out of bed, and I started to fall asleep. And then I thought I was falling asleep. I seen all these weird things like on the wall tonight, but there was actually really there walking around. And it's cold turkey there. They keep eyes on you while you do it cold turkey. And it's, meanwhile, you think you're okay to a certain degree. You don't want anybody else out there to see you the way you are, especially after you've been clean and looking good for a while. And then all of a sudden, people around who knew me, because I was very active and got to know a lot of people, so they start calling and coming by. I didn't want to listen to them. Didn't want to hear from them. Wait until I get on my feet again before I see anybody. They come and pay me visits, looking like shit. I just couldn't, but they did anyhow, regardless what I thought. And I love it today, love them today for it. So I went through that period, and all of a sudden, that was my road to recovery. But I'll backtrack a little bit. Before that even happened, I came back in Alcohol Anonymous playing the games, letting you people know that nothing happened. I couldn't tell you the truth when it happened. I wouldn't raise my hand. And by doing so, I just kept quiet. And until the guilt set in so much that I couldn't do it no more, so I stopped coming around the rooms. And that was fine. And then that's when I started to isolate a lot more. That's when all this incidents started to happen before I got into Claire. I went into isolation for all that time. And by doing so, going into Claire, that was on the return back to sobriety for me. Like to say, the gift of sobriety we're lucky the first time around. A lot of us never had that second time like I have. The gift of sobriety was returned to me. And I don't know why, and I don't question it. All I know it has, and I'm here, and it's so precious to me, regardless of what I do today. Nothing comes first. And I don't choose to let it come first. I don't allow my priorities to get screwed up like it was, because today I think my sobriety is a lot stronger than it ever was. But getting back in that first year when I got out of Claire, it was a hell. The first 3 months I was out, I couldn't go to meetings. I didn't want to go to meetings, but I knew that I was too scared to do anything else. The only thing that kept me going was my business, and I didn't have much left of that. I couldn't really get out and do it. They couldn't take care of me. By doing so, I started going to meetings. Various different people picked me up and take me to meetings themselves, until I was able to go myself again. But all along that first year again, I kept wanting to go back out. I kept thinking that I wasn't ready to come stay in these rooms again. I felt so humiliated to raise my hand one more time, newcomer, and let people think and start to judge me. But they wasn't judging me. It was in the back of my head thinking all this. The old head goes. But they were just glad to see me back and glad to see me on the right track. And they were to love me for a change. I couldn't understand why. They said, allow them to love you, Chuck, like you have loved them so much, Allow a little of that love to come back in your life and help you get you back on the right feet where you belong and stay with us. So once I was able to soak that through and let it come in my head and allow it to happen. And by allowing it to happen, I was able to stay in here that first year. And the 9 months, I had that 9 months, and I thought sure I was going to go back out. But the new sponsor I had, he was wonderful for me. He didn't sponsor a lot of babies, and I'm glad he didn't, because I need somebody who was good, could spend time with me, help me, keep me on the right track, keep me in the various different rooms. Because left to my own devices, I would have been back out there, or otherwise I'd have been dead even. And because even that Claire Foundation, they told them, because they rushed me to Santa Monica Hospital after they're thinking, well, if they didn't get me to Santa Monica Hospital in that time, I'd been dead next morning anyhow. Because my blood pressure was so high that it took them 5 hours to get under control. And as time went on, all I could think about, I wasn't going to pay the goddamn bill. After saving my life and $600 from my sponsor, listen, you asshole, you're going to pay the goddamn bill. That's why you're here today. And I paid the bill. But I knew that the time I wasn't ready for it. And then later I went back and thanked the doctors who did. But at the time we don't think of that shit. But so I got through that first year, and I had a small little gathering for another birthday one more time, and it was nice. Then as time went, it made it sort of easy going into the second year. One of my dear clients, leave it to your friends again. I wasn't ready to talk to you people about what really happened like tonight, because now I don't feel so bad about letting you know what really happened. At that time, I did. One of my dear friends, she happened to be a client. She was the main speaker, and they asked me to be the first speaker behind her, and I was terrified because I wasn't about to I didn't want to let the whole crowd know about the truth about what really happened. And by doing so, we took a ride and had dinner together, her and I, and she started saying, "Listen, honey, you're here and I'm not here to judge you. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for the others too. But remember one thing. You're back in these rooms and we love you." And after getting into sharing and starting to open up and starting to realize not going in there trying to be somebody else you're not, which I was good at. Coming in the rooms looking good and think I had it together. I didn't have shit together. I was always good at looking good and putting on such a front. But inside, I was hurting like a son of a bitch. And the day when I started to look good, I started to look good for me, nobody else, because I want to look good. But before I did it as a front, as a phony. And but now it's no big deal. But she broke that ice for me. And that same night, I broke the ice. I was able to share with other people and knowing what really happened and how lucky I was to come back into the rooms. And so the second year went by. And the third year went by. The fourth year went by. Fifth year went by. And yesterday, October 26th, I would have had 14 years. But then coming up again, December the 4th, I will have 8 years again. And to have 8 years again is a miracle, and it's just unbelievable that how that I survived coming back into these rooms like a lot of them don't survive. But I only survived only because of the love in the various different rooms like this and the people that was there for me, and in spite of myself. And I hated a lot of them. Oh, did I hate a lot of them. Oh, I couldn't stand to be around near some of them. And a lot of them turned out to be my best friends later. And it's hard to understand that. But they were. And what the program's really given me, not continue a new way of life, but it's given me self-respect, my self-worth back, and it's the beautiful friends I have all over, no matter where I go. I'm welcome, and I have gone in many rooms, Alcohol Anonymous, and it felt good, not worrying about what they're going to say, what they're going to think. I'm in that room for myself and what I get out of it. And I used to get in like a lot of typical newcomers, and I was one of them. Judges picks, oh, not him again. Oh, same old goddamn story. Then when you want to pick up and leave, you don't want to hear him. But what I learned in the beginning, you sit down, shut up, and don't worry about it. You heard him a dozen times. It's fine. You're still there. You listen to him. You went to all the trouble getting up there and trying to share it with you. And that was so hard for me, knowing that you get tired of hearing the same old stories over and over. But yet, we learned to come in here and do what we do to help us all. And by golly, to see the various different new people come in tonight and seeing the newcomer take up a word and saying, take that chip, and how hard it was for her saying, just 3 more days, knowing that she don't have to raise that hand. That alone is a good feeling. And seeing the guy take 5 years birthday and how things happen in sobriety, the better you're good at. I got better in my business over and over in sobriety. Some of the things I was terrified of doing, and I didn't think I'd ever get into doing again. I got better than I ever was. And fortunately, I have a maintenance company that I used to thought was really something at the time, but I used to allow it go to my head before I got sober. And a lot of the pressure, a lot of the problems used to come to me and used to get drink over. And as the time went on, I realized they weren't as important as sobriety, because I learned that it was no big deal. But I was making it a big deal because I was out after those things, money, property, and prestige. But when I started cut back and helping other alcoholics, because everybody who works for me is all alcoholics. I don't know how the hell I deal with them, but I do. I had to stop and grudge knowing it. God damn it, Chuck, you've been doing it so many damn years. They're only doing the best they can, and you just walk away, saying, let them do it. But it's been a good path for me, and I don't regret any of it. You know, I look back thinking, my God, how I used to drink and use all the things that I had the day, all because of Alcohol Anonymous and doing the things that been in front of me, and all the gifts that came in my life, and all the things I'd lost out there prior to coming, I got them all back in sobriety, plus, and all the things I've been able to do, and going through relationships over and over and over. And it's money you spent. Go broke again. Money you again. And I was good at always enabling others, doing things for others, other people. Think I'm going to buy their love. It don't happen. It don't work that way. You do it because you want to do it, and no one tells you to. You have to. And I've been doing that for a long time in relationships, doing things for others, thinking what this is going to make them like and love me more. That's bullshit. They love you for who you are. And I learned that later. A lot of time, a lot of love did come back, and I have gotten it back from my other people that kept me in line. I'm not sure what would happen if it wasn't for the various different friends around me. That a lot of times I get crazy, like we all do, and it's thinking, well, should I or shouldn't I? And then another instinct has taught me, well, no, you know better. You know, you can't let it happen again. You're not going to let it happen again. Where I think that, well, I'm tired of AA. You know how we all get bored. We try to go on the meetings. So you start thinking, well, when you get involved in relationships, you start slacking off. You don't need as many. And just because you got a few years, you think you don't need as many neither. That's bullshit. I still need them. I need to be reminded over and over that how I got what I have today is where I got where I'm at today. It's because of these meetings and the people around me. And I don't ever want to forget it. There's one woman that I love her dearly, and she's not around tonight, but she's still around sober-wise. I'll never forget her. God bless her. And it's people like her and other people that like her. It kept me remember how we hang on to something when we hear in Alcohol Anonymous that just one particular person says it, and she was one particular person that says something. It's going to be all right, Chuck. Don't worry about shit. Let us worry for you. And she kept calling me, and she didn't know me from Adam. Kept calling me and said, listen, you're going to be fine. She's just calling me, checking on me, and that was beautiful. And today, knowing that she's still around, I'm still around, and the first different people that I wish were around, and it could be, or not. I lost a lot of friends in sobriety, and a lot of them went back out, have never returned yet. And I got a brother out here that was working with me, just temporarily, but he should be here, but I can't get into that, and I don't get into anymore. I just learned to leave it alone, and I do leave it alone. And I have a sister who's on a program in Chicago, just had 5 years, and that's one of the French benefits. Because why her and me and other brothers and sisters, some of them who do need it, can't get it. And we're just ones who are fortunate and blessed to be able to get it. And I want to thank Vince again for asking me. And like I say, it's not one of the favorite things I like doing and sharing. And a lot of times I get jumbled up and get things screwed up, and I want to say and this and that, but I don't care. It all comes out one way or another. You try to plan it, it doesn't work anyhow, so why plan anything? So I just don't do it anymore. I just get up and when it comes out, it comes out. And and without you people in these rooms, I just want to thank you all, and I love you, and God bless you.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control.
remote control is connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.